Good evening and welcome back to the AfriCanadian Resource Center, and we really appreciate you joining us as you do every evening. Today we are going to bring you a team from Toronto, a leadership team from Toronto leading the CARY Toronto, which is a Rwandan Canadian community group, and we want to talk about some of the work they are going to be doing and some of the funding that they received through the Red Cross. But before we get to the group and talk about some of those activities, we wanted to give you some of the news as we do every evening. I'm going to start with some of the COVID news here in Toronto, where Ontario reported about 1,575 new cases of coronavirus on Thursday, which is yet another new single-day record for the third day in a row. Man, this has been one of the craziest weeks so far we've had as far as reports from COVID-19. And of course, looking at the fact that the numbers keep going up, we don't even know the end where things gonna go. All we know is that all of the measures that were supposed to be pulled back this week on the 14th have been taken back. So now we're still going back in lockdown. And we don't know. We'll be waiting for new updates from the governments, whether it's local, provincial, and of course we're going to look at national to see where things are. About 472 new cases were recorded in Toronto and 448 in Peel region, about 155 in New York region, as well as 91 in Ottawa. These are huge numbers, especially looking at the 448 in Peel region. Knowing the size of Peel region and the size of Toronto, the fact that we have almost similar numbers is scary for Peel region. So for yours truly, in Peel region, this is something scary. But as usual, we're going to try our best to stay safe, to do our best to, keep the distance and washing the hands, the usual. So let's make sure that we do that everywhere we are. Another thing we wanted to talk about today is, obviously, as you know, if you're following, you know that the former president of Ghana, Jay Roaring, passed away. He had been hospitalized at the Kora teaching hospital for about 1 week as a result of COVID-19, and before his death on Thursday, and he died at the age of 73. We're gonna be covering some of that report as far as the life of Jay Roaring, what he did, what he's known for. I'm going to bring you a report shortly. But before we do, let's take a quick commercial.
A message from the Government of Canada.
As I was saying before the break, we wanted to pay a tribute to Jay Roaring, the former president of Ghana, who passed away yesterday from the coronavirus. And we wanted to take a look at some of the work that he's known for. And then, of course, for me as a person who grew up in that era when he became president, and just sort of having that understanding of what African leaders were about, I feel like I had a misunderstanding of his overall work in the African community. But looking at the fact that he brought, if you know, many African countries don't have what you would call quote-unquote democracy. The Ghanaian democracy, which is one of the best in Africa to date, was a result of him realizing that things were changing and paving way towards the current democracy that the Ghanaians enjoy today. So I wanted to make sure that we actually highlight that, because again, the reason why I'm looking at it in that lens is because growing up I was sort of looking at him, or at least hearing from people, that he was a dictator, which, sometimes when we put a brush on a leader, especially African leaders as dictators, we tend to miss the wonderful work that they left us with. And to me, today, on his death day, on the day he passed on, it is a day for many Ghanaians and Africans to celebrate And so we thought we'd do the same tonight by showing you some of his work.
The early years of independence in Ghana were filled with great hope for the future, with the country's first president, Kwame Nkrumah's leadership, set to catapult Ghana into a new era. But over the years, Nkrumah's regime became less accommodating and declared the nation a one-party state. While on a state visit to Vietnam and China in 1966, Nkrumah was deposed from power in a coup.
I was at school, so how did the people around him, how did they conduct or misconduct themselves in such a way as to bring so much hatred to Dr. Kwame Nkrumah?
What followed was a period of military coups, failed civilian governments that left the people dissatisfied. Widespread corruption made life difficult for the people of Ghana. This led to growing anger and resentment.
Ghana then, everything was monopolized. I remember our basic food like beans and gari was only sold. I remember at that time Malata was sold by one woman. One, believe you me, one person was selling that, only one.
There was no soap. Just bathing soap, there was none. Toothpaste, there was none. Nothing. No food. And we got to know that Ghana was almost just getting to a ground.
But the point is that we have set the example. We have shown that we're capable of doing it.
Jerry Rawlings came into the public eye when on the 28th of May 1979, Rawlings, together with 6 other soldiers, were arrested by the militia for an attempted coup d'etat on the government of General Fred Akufo. Rawlings appeared before a general court-martial charged with leading a squad of soldiers on the 15th of May 1979.
I keep describing it as turning on the gas in a kitchen. That's how volatile it was. From a distance, all you needed to do was to ignite a match and throw it inside. And that's what I could have done in 79, 15th May.
I was praying for the best. I also knew exactly what was going on in the country and knew that he had taken the flag for all of us. Therefore, if he had to die for his conviction, I knew he would prefer to do that.
He was found guilty and awaiting execution. The trial was a public one that was meant to deter any future coups and was broadcast for all of Ghana to see and hear.
They were, they were trading some things amongst themselves, the prosecution and the lawyers and whatnot, and severally and whatnot, those terms they use. So I got up and grabbed the microphone, said, I don't understand these terms and all that's going on, neither do my boys. And I'm just here, and I'm taking responsibility for everything that's happened, and to leave my men alone. But I wanted to make sure that they hear what I have to say first.
He made an unforgettable speech in court and said,
I am not an expert in economics, and I am not an expert in law, but I am an expert in working on an empty stomach, wondering when and where the next meal will come from. I know what it feels like going to bed with a headache for want of food in the stomach.
He was an embodiment of the reaction, the disappointment, the great disappointment of the people of Ghana.
Instead, the name Rawlings became the symbol of hope and deliverance for the people of Ghana. On the 4th of June of that same year, a mutiny by officers in support of his cause broke him out of jail, sparking the revolution.
So what would that leave us in the forest?
Yao Graham was in university then and remembers the mood of the time.
It was in the middle of this split national mood that Jerry Rawlings was arrested and reported as somebody who was planning to clean up the mess by overthrowing these people. Now it's important to understand this because he didn't say anything. The prosecution said this was what he was about. But such was the mood that people identified that actually this guy is saying exactly the way we are all feeling. So he became a hero on account of the honesty of the prosecution.
1979, I was almost 10 years. If I recollect, that June 4th, when we heard that something had happened, I think it was on the news. That's the first time you know that something is going on. They start playing Ghana national anthem. So we knew that another person had taken charge of the country. But who, they were not really sure. Some people went and spied and realized that when he alighted from the helicopter, the men picked him up. And when we saw him, we started screaming, JJ, JJ. And my dad would shake his head and say, wow, we are in trouble and our kids are hailing this man.
When you consider, the difficulties, the shock effect that June 4th should have had on us, should have woken us up. And I do remember, to be quite honest, in those volatile, violent, difficult days when people were calling for let the blood flow, etc., there were some intellectuals and some diplomats who, I guess, have a better knowledge of history, who were asking me that I was exercising too much control. I was restraining it too much.
Jerry Rawlings and his soldiers formed the Armed Forces Revolutionary Council, AFRC.
I didn't expect to be here.
Later, the AFRC carried out what Rawlings described as a house cleaning exercise. This was basically the identifying of leaders that were deemed corrupt. The leaders were either sentenced to prison for their crimes or in some cases executed by the AFRC. 3 months later, on 24th September 1979, the AFRC allowed Hila Liman to head Ghana and the People's National Party, PNP. However, Hila Liman's presidency was short-lived. On 31st December 1981, after only 2 years as president, Liman's administration was cut short when Rawlings ousted him in yet another coup, claiming that his government was taking Ghana down a road of economic ruin.
But it was his second coming, as we call it here, the 1981 coup d'etat, that then made him the figure that he is today. That was when people encountered him directly or indirectly. It was a fairly difficult period.
The PNC is a government that is or should be run by the people.
I ended up in office not because I wanted to be chairman, to be head of state, but it was just my passion to see justice done, my love of freedom. That's what puts me always in this position, or put me in this position.
In the early 1990s, the African continent began to experience a new wave of political structure, the return of multi-party politics. Much like the 1960s, as country after country gained independence from colonial powers, now the people wanted more. Rawlings, always able to read the mood of the people, was quick to embrace it, changing his government from military to civilian.
He did not fight against it, but he did say that though he personally did not believe in multi-party politics, but if that's what Ghanaians want, they would have it. So the constitution was written, and from 1992 to the present, we've had one of the most stable democracies in Africa.
As required by the constitutional mandate, Rawlings' term of office ended in 2001 and was succeeded by John Kufuor, his main political rival.
People like to make all kinds of claims about Rawlings, that he didn't want to hand over. Absolute rubbish. I will use this occasion to tell them something that they never imagined. Had we, any one of us, dared to suggest that we're going to stay on for one more day, we would have lost the complete support of the masses.
A coronavirus is a type of virus that can infect the respiratory tract, meaning the nose, mouth, throat, sinuses, or lungs. There are many types of coronaviruses, and most cause only mild illness, such as the common cold. But some coronaviruses can cause severe illness. The most likely way people can become infected is by droplets that contain the virus. These droplets carry the virus into the air and can enter through the nose, mouth, throat, and lungs of a person who is within 6 feet or 2 meters. The virus infects the lungs, causing the lungs to become inflamed. The alveolar sacs have to be healthy for the body to breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. Infection of the virus causes damage to the cells of the lungs and triggers an inflammatory reaction. Fever may develop. With severe inflammation, inflammatory fluid fills the lungs. This reduces the function of the alveoli, resulting in coughing and difficulty breathing. The oxygen level in the blood may decrease. In some people who become severely ill, other organs may be affected, such as the kidneys or the heart.
Welcome back, and we really appreciate having that piece of story from JK. Really, to have that story told, obviously it's a brief piece that we put together. If you want to see the entire documentary, you can find it on YouTube. Simply just type in J.K. Rowling's story and you'll be able to find it there. We just wanted to sort of go back and show you how important for some of our leaders is to actually lay the ground, to pay forward a certain leadership, which is why we're here, which is why we come here. We come to you every evening with the AfriCanadian Resource Center. As Africans living in Canada, we really want to figure out a way to work together, to collaborate, to create a different environment for our people than that which we found. Obviously, you cannot go anywhere without connecting to your past, and so it's always good to look back and see some of the people that have paved the way for us to be here, for us to be able to actually come to you, talk to you about some of the work that's going on in the community. And we feel like people like J. Rowling paid that tribute for sure, paved that way forward for us for sure. And so I mentioned before we went to the documentary that it's a day to celebrate. I truly believe that. I believe that when people who have done great work in our life, when people who have achieved milestones, not even just milestones, anyone who is connected to us, when they do pass away, we feel like it's time to celebrate their life instead of sort of mourning. We feel like it's time to actually be happy and achieve and really celebrate the work they left behind. And that's the best way I believe that we can remember our people. Anyway, so we really appreciate that, and we're gonna go now and talk to our guests. Tonight we're talking to members of CARY. Right now we have Joshua online with us. Joshua, how are you?
Doing good.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you making the time. I know it was like a last-minute arrangement, but really appreciate you being with us. Also, we do have another member, Ressa. Ressa, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. I appreciate both of you for being with us tonight. And we both, obviously, I'm also part of the CARY team, so I know you. I know you guys have been busy working, getting ready, as you had just received funding from the government of Canada through the United Way. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. I wanted to talk about some of the activities that we are expecting from the organization. But first, please tell our audience who you are and what you usually do in the community. So starting with you, Joshua.
Yeah, so my name is Joshua Gakwaya. Yeah, I'm a part of the CARY team. I'm a student currently right now, almost finishing my last semester at university. Currently studying psychology and then a minor in criminal justice. Yeah, I've been in Canada since 2014. I enjoy like hanging out with the Rwandan community and all of that, and I was looking for more ways to get involved. And when CARY had an opening, I thought it was a great opportunity to get more out there and more involved. And I think I have things that I can give to the community that can help. I think I can give a perspective, like a younger perspective, as well as kind of like a semi/newcomer in the community in Canada. Kind of give my perspective on things and see how I can help fellow Rwandan people in Canada and like Africans in general on how to improve and kind of help them in their daily lives in Canada. Yeah.
That's amazing, and we're going to talk about some of that because I know you're leading the newcomer, the activity that's focusing on newcomers in CARY. But first, you as well, Lisa, tell us more about yourself and what you're doing in Toronto. Sorry, we can't hear you. No. We're having a bit of audio
Okay.
difficult there. Oh, there you go. We hear you now.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so my name is Raisa, and I've been here for around 4 years. I'm also a new graduate. I just had my postgrad in public relations and corporate communications, and I'm here to help CARY with their projects, their upcoming projects. Right now, I am in the communication department, if I can call it like that. I'm the head of social media. So we'll be working with you, Joshua, around the health and wellness a lot. You should get ready. And yeah, I'm here to hear all the upcoming events that are on the way.
Amazing. So let's jump right into it, and either one of you can jump on this as far as the answers. How important is it for an organization like CARY to have the capacity to have these funding so we can actually carry out the activities that are usually happening? Obviously, during COVID, it's been difficult for many organizations, but these are activities that usually happen, but maybe not on the scale that is planned. How important is it, in your opinion?
Okay, so I'll just go first. What I think is, well, this term is said around a lot. Money talks. Most things that require movement and get things going always requires funding. Whatever it is, whatever you're doing, usually you're going to require money to get people involved and run events properly. I think right now, especially because a lot of people say it's during coronavirus, maybe you don't need all that funding, you don't need this and that. But I would counter that and saying we need more of that now, especially now that it's COVID, because these are the times where some people feel most alone, especially people who are away from home, and they need that push to kind of get involved in the community, whether it's online, whether it's social distancing, but they need that push. This is a difficult time for everyone, but it's especially difficult for those who are away from home and require that extra support that they may not have at this time. And what the funding kind of does is it gives us the freedom and the capabilities to kind of expand what we're doing right now. So we can always talk and do things like that, but when you can have host like an event where you can do some kind of funding, where you can help people who require, so for example, I'll just not go into too much about it. For example, newcomers, for those who require, for example, they don't know how the bus system transit works, for those who require like Presto cards, or for those who require simple things such as where to buy food or how to get cell service, when you can kind of give them a little bit of funding and kind of give them like a step to show them this is how I do it and kind of give them that one foot forward. I think it helps the community a lot, and we're really grateful for the funding, and as it keeps coming, we're able to do more and more, and I think that helps everyone.
And to you, Lisa, so I know also you are new to Toronto. Looking at that, also thinking about it in terms of newcomers, what do you think CARY should be doing? And I know that's not your department as far as the your role in CARY, but what do you think CARY should be doing to actually answer some of the challenges newcomers have when they come into the city such as Toronto?
Yeah, so Toronto is a very complex city. It's a big city, and as newcomers, new immigrants, especially coming from our country, Rwanda, there's a lot they have to learn. So I feel like CARY, as the youth association, they should help by informing first new immigrants about what he was saying. Example, transportation or schooling or work or how to find housing. There's so many things that new immigrants get lost in before they can actually get, information. And it's really important. And also, CARY should also support, because I feel like a lot of people go through a lot of things by themselves, because a lot of immigrants or new immigrants don't come here with their families, and most of them don't even know anyone. So emotional support could be important, and just connection, any type of connection. If there is an event, if there is a get together, if there is any way they could just know other part of their community, I feel like that's a very important thing to do. And these fundings are going to help. They're going to help, first of all, with getting to know who those immigrants are. We have a lot of initiatives as CARY going on. We have some people that we want to partner with. There is some, as part of social media, there is a lot of things you have to do that needs, let's say, ads that will need a lot of money in it. So yeah, we appreciate that.
Absolutely. And I also know that and maybe let's just give a quick background on how this funding was made available. Right now, CARY, obviously the Rwandan Canadian Hearing Center, and a couple of other organizations, Beyond the Veil and Umraje, we're in a collaboration, and we've been working with the Network for Advancement of Black Communities, which is NAPSI, based out of York University, and looking to really find fundings. And through this, we were able to form a cluster, the Rwandan Community Collaborative, and that's how we were able to get those fundings. And obviously, CARY is taking a lead on this, and you are all doing amazing work. You've been incredible. Going from that, looking at some of the activities that we're doing and reaching out, and I'm going to ask you this question again, Resa. Looking at the approach you're making on social media, what are the challenges, or maybe what are the opportunities that are here now that you and the team are taking advantage of to make sure that we reach as many Rwandans as possible?
Yes, so again, our goal is to reach, the reach is very important right now. So we are changing the method of how the CARY social media was functioning before and how it's going to be functioning in the future. Actually, we do have a meeting coming up to plan all this. So part of the change, we have to change our community engagement. So a way to connect with people usually is involving because CARY is about Rwandans, right? It's about involving them in our thing, right? So let's say, for example, we have a lot of Rwandans that are doing big things. So as we said, CARY is all about support, inform, and connect, right? So if you have like a business person who's a Rwandan who just came up with a new startup business, we're going to highlight them. And in highlighting them, we're supporting because we're sharing his information out there. And then also if they're selling, let's say, shoes or clothes, us as part of CARY, we will aim to at least be the client, and then in that way, we're also connecting and we're informing. So, and then in that way, someone else is going to see it and want to reach out and be like, where can I find this? So that's just one of the examples of the things we're going to do that we were not doing before. They're going to create that reach of many people, reaching many people. Or health and wellness. We'll be talking about traumas. We know what's been going on in our country. There is a lot of PTSD, and we'll try to share like testimonials of survivors, let's say. There's a lot of them here. And so those are the examples that I'm just putting in there.
Yeah, no, it's good. And I really think one of the things right now, especially during COVID, if you're not approaching social media with as much energy as you can, you're gonna miss out a lot, because that's where most of the work is taking place, right? As far as communication is concerned. Yeah. And how about you, Joshua? What are we to look out for as far as newcomers are concerned? What are other programs that you have in plan for during this project?
Yeah, so we have I'll say it's like a 3-step program that we're kind of trying to do, me and another colleague, Enoch. So the first step is kind of like introducing people. Welcome to Toronto, Hamilton, greater area. How can we help you? We're looking ways to assist them. So for example, right now, we all know it's getting a little bit cold outside. The weather's been nice, but it's getting cold again. For example, we're looking at possibly having donations of like winter clothes for those who come for example, from Rwanda straight to Canada, they don't have access to winter clothes. They don't know where to buy the winter clothes, or perhaps they're too expensive. If we can provide those for people who require them, and I think there's quite a few, that's a good step. Other steps include helping them in school, seeing who requires tutoring, seeing those, perhaps those who are coming from Rwanda who require translating, who don't understand all the school requirements, because even I personally know a few, they struggle with that and they're doing their best to do well. That's another step that we're looking to help with. We're looking like funding in terms of like getting Presto cards with like preloaded money to help them transportation, giving them like guides on how to like move around the city, because we all know Toronto can be complicated. Giving them ideas like Walmart gift cards. You go buy these groceries, these are things you need, and kind of asking them like, what do you need? What's the extra support you need? And just kind of like doing more listening than talking and supporting them that way.
And I think for you, obviously, both of you having been coming, you are new to Canada, you are the best people, especially you, Joshua, in terms of working with newcomers, because you remember the things you needed when you came here, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. I remember when I came to Canada and when I went to college, I'm fortunate because I have family in Hamilton. So I had already had family here to support me and stuff. But I remember going like living on a dorm like in college, and like there's so many things that like I had no idea, and I would be like where do I buy winter clothes, for example? Like I need shoes, I don't have any shoes. And even other more important things like how do I find a job? I didn't know about Indeed. I didn't know how to do a resume. I didn't know any of that, and I was trying my best, but it always felt like I was a step behind like my fellow Canadian students and other people in Canada, because I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't know how to best help myself in those situations. And even though I had family, I didn't really have that push because they weren't at school with me. I couldn't like talk to them regularly. And the thing is, I can only imagine for me back then, I didn't know about CARY back then. I can only imagine if I knew about CARY, like if I knew that I had that extra support. And the problem I'm finding is a lot of these, especially college, university students, they don't know about CARY, or they don't know that the work CARY does and that we're invested in them and their futures. If I knew that back then, I can only imagine how much better it would have been for me in terms of like doing better and moving forward. Even maybe just having someone like read over my essay before I turn it in, things like that. I can only imagine how much more better it would have been for me. And I just kind of want to use that because I had family and other help here, and help those who feel like, maybe am I the only Rwandan in Toronto? Are there only like 3 or 4 of us? No, there's lots of us, and we're here to help you, and we're here to invest in your future. And that's what CARY is all about.
And let me maybe use my experience as well. I've been here for what seems like forever. I've been here since 2000. But recently I joined CARY, and to me the importance of being a part of a group like CARY, because that's where you find all of the young people as far as Rwandan community is concerned. It's really, you cannot replace CARY, you cannot step in that space. And I think one of the things that I've loved as far as CARY is concerned is being able to actually look at what's available and how you make that space also broader for everybody else that's coming in. Right, so when you think of newcomers like you, like yourself, or some other young people who are available, but who might not even know that this organization is here, or if it's here, is it for every Rwandan that wants to be a part of the community? And I feel like this year and the last year has been those, you as an organization have made that step. Both of you obviously volunteering to be part of the leadership. It's allowed for actually looking at CARY as a broader youth organization that is actually looking to focus on everybody that is looking to change the community, to be involved in the activities. And I'm really proud of both of you for the work that you're doing. Maybe my question now would be, where do you wish or hope for the organization to go from here? You can go ahead, Ressa, and then Joshua next.
To go from here, for me, for example, I only participated in one of the CARY events. I think it's YPN, the Money Talk. So I wouldn't say I know much about what you guys used to do before, apart from the events that I see online on social media and everything. But what we can do from here, as we are coming out with all these new ideas, I think it's about time we implement them. Yes, there is COVID that's going to try, like things like events won't be happening as much as they used to, but there are so many ways to reach our fellow Rwandans without even having those events. So mostly about increasing the communication within I could only speak for CARY. I don't know much about the RHC, but increasing the communication within the members of the Rwandan diaspora, whether it's online, whether it's emails, whether it's newsletters, whatever way we're gonna use to communicate, and starting to implement our ideas, because ideas are always great in the mind of people who have them, but it's until they're executed that you actually see that it's a good idea. So I think that's the way to move forward from here.
How about you, Joshua?
Yeah, I agree with her 100%. I think our ceiling is very high. Like another example for me personally was when I came, I was a bit younger, and I felt, oh, CARY's only for like the older group, like people who are like have jobs and like all of that. So I didn't feel comfortable even when I knew about it, like reaching out and getting involved. But that's not what CARY is. CARY is here for like all Rwandan people, and there's so much we can do. And like she said, it all starts with like outreach and getting out to the community. Because I feel like if the community knew what we're about and that we're there to support them, I feel like they'd be like more involved as well. And a step is one step, like we're starting now, like Zoom and doing this and that. If we can be like more active, and I know we're working towards that, but I think the goal should be like more active, like weekly, like always talking, hey, what's going on, hey, this is event, this is what's happening, hey. And then I would say even like recruiting, I think it's important that other Rwandan people feel motivated seeing that the work we're doing, and they say, wow, you know what, I want to be a part of CARY, how can I get involved, how can I volunteer? And I think by that we can grow, and I think we can grow to like very big, because the Rwandan community in Canada is only growing. It's already big right now in the GTA, and it's only getting bigger as we speak. So I feel like there's a lot of steps we can do to move forward.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. And maybe what we could do, and I know we talked about like being in universities and feeling like you're alone there, probably reach out, figure out a way to create programs, which I know you and I, Joshua, being in the think tank group together, we're looking at ways to reach out to universities, to reach out to some of the young people that are coming into Toronto and the GTA. And definitely if we can figure out a way to implement some of those programs, I believe we can reach everybody. Because I know, having been also part of that, in terms of when you're in school and you're feeling like you are the only person from the community, can feel some sort of, I would say lonely, but you always want to connect with your people. And when they reach out to you, it feels better than when you have to go and find them. So I feel like that's part of what we need to do as well here in Toronto. Maybe my last question, obviously we have all these programs that are planned. Where should people go? What should people know? Like, when are we expecting to see something in terms of the actual activities? Any idea?
Go first. Or go.
Sure, go ahead.
Please go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, if we could go first for us, we already have a calendar. We thought we need to schedule everything and put it in action, because yeah, we were just running through ideas, and we're starting actually next week. So, well, we have a calendar. I don't think I have to tell you everything.
No, absolutely
but
not. Just, yeah,
but it's like every day has a specific thing that we will be informing, to the people, and we really hope it's gonna change something, and it's going to reach a lot of people, and yeah.
All right. And Joshua, on the actual activities when it comes to newcomers, do you have any set date people should be thinking of? Maybe something to look forward to?
Yeah, so right now it is a little bit difficult, like with timing and how we're gonna spend the money and everything. But like the person I'm working with in NOC, I'd say first week of December, I'd say people keep your eyes open. Check out the social media page, check out Raisa, what she's doing and things like that, because we are making moves. I think the first week of December, we should have our first event happening. So I would just encourage people to just, unfortunately right now I don't have like the specific date exactly, but we'll get it as like, because we're getting closer and closer, I can give you the specifics then. But yeah, keep your eyes open. Right now we're focusing on, so like early December, and then moving on into early January for those who are moving into Canada like in January, because a lot of people do come for the winter semester. So that's right now the goal, but definitely keep your eyes and ears out. Yeah, we have a bit of money now, and so we're making plans and moving things forward.
Thank you so much. And so the other thing too, there is many other activities. Obviously, you you're heading the newcomers activity. Reza is focusing on social media, but there is like a lot of workshops that are going to be coming up, looking at productivity tools, maximizing LinkedIn, different budgeting for future investments, career development programs, life planning. There is a lot of different programs that are coming up, and we just advise the community to look forward to that. And make sure you also find out where to find CARY as far as the website, the social media, which maybe I should ask you again, Reza, where should people go to find CARY's work?
Yeah, CARY is implementing, they're renewing the website, not renewing, but they're updating their website. It's also one of the things that we've been talking about. And one of my colleagues is actually working with Imanzi about it. So once it's updated, the information will be there, and we'll have to insert all the links for the social media for people to reach to us. And obviously the website will also have a way to reach directly by email, let's say. So yeah, and if ever God bless us with an office, we'll put an address there.
No, please, do welcome. We have some space here if you want, because again, going back to what Joshua said earlier, I know there is new funding that's coming in addition to what you already have. So if your team decides to find an office, feel more than welcome to come and join us here downtown at 117 Peter Street. Yeah, okay. Space is available.
We can put that address there because as newcomers, as he was saying, a lot of them don't even know how to use emails or social media, let's say for the grown-up people or some of the youth, and they like to see an address and be like, I am going there to ask questions, So it would be great to actually have a specific spot, even if people can work from home or whatever, but at least it will be called CARY and have one or two people that can answer questions for just walk-ins.
Let me put Joshua on the spot too. Joshua, do you think this is something we should go back? Sorry, Reza, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were done because the audio went
No,
off.
I was done and then I just muted. Yeah, you were asking Joshua.
Yes. So Joshua, putting you on the spot, do you think we can go back to our treasurer and find a way to have an office? Or
honestly, I think you're talking to the wrong person. I'm the newcomer kind of guy, so I don't want to talk out of turn. I don't want to get in trouble with the big boss. I don't want to say something and then get a text message saying, "Yo, what are you talking about?" And that's all. I'm gonna have to send this up to Tracy.
That's a good it's a good answer, like a very good political answer. You should look at a career in politics. Really appreciate you both, Reza and Joshua, for joining me this evening. Really, I wish you all the best. I'm here, as you know, and we look forward to some of the activities that CARY team, as you being a part of the leadership membership team, looking forward to some of your work in the days to come. And again, all the best and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Question. Joshua, you're part of the new immigrant or health and wellness? Because I heard you took psychology and criminal something in school.
I haven't graduated yet. I'm doing newcomers right now.
Yeah, okay.
We'll
no problem.
Forward. Yeah.
We'll still talk. I'll reach out to you.
Let's communicate.
All right, good stuff.
Okay. All right, thank you.
There are several practical measures you can take to protect yourself from the new coronavirus. One of the most important is regular, safe, and effective hand hygiene, using soap and water or alcohol-based hand rub. Here are the steps recommended by WHO to follow. you too can have safe and clean hands anywhere. Now I'm calling on the world to take the WHO Safe Hands Challenge to be ready for coronavirus.
Our thanks to Joshua and Raisa for joining us this evening and sharing some of the activities that are upcoming for the CARY, Toronto and GTA. And as I mentioned earlier, CARY is a part of a Rwandan Canadian Toronto community cluster that received funding from United Way, which is part of the $350 million that was released earlier this year by the government of Canada. They actually do have another funding that is coming up from Red Cross. So CARY and along with about 7 other Rwandan Canadian communities are going to be continuing this work as a result of the funding that is being provided, which we do appreciate because there is a lot of need, there is a lot of activities that are needed, and because of that we cannot actually get busy doing what we usually do, but at least having the support system behind us. So again, thanks to CARY for always being there, and we wish you the best in the community. I wanted to go back to what we talked about earlier in the program, looking at the tribute for Jerry Rawling, the former president of Ghana. And I wanted to pose a challenge to our leaders, to pose a challenge to our people as well, people who talk about the leadership, people who talk about the work done by our ancestors. And I do this as well. Sometimes I tend to dismiss, or not dismiss, but I tend to challenge positions of our former leaders. I've done that with some people like Nelson Mandela. I've done that with the likes of Mugabe of Zimbabwe. And I've also done it with people who were not in office long enough, but who didn't see what the future was like to anticipate the challenges ahead, so to change the course. I look at people like Patrick Lumumba, a hero of mine, who I feel like because of, I really don't know if it's a naivete or if it's, I don't want to classify what the challenge was, but I think had we had people like him live out his life and serve his community the way he intended, Africa, the Congo community would be in a different place. And so these challenges to you as an African, these challenges to our leaders within the African community. One, for the leaders, how can we envision, and I say we, I'm talking about the entire African, I'm not saying myself as a leader. How can we envision the future? How can we predict the future and make our moves based on that? Because if you look at the story of J. Rawling, he was a soldier. He came in power because he saw the need to take over, which was through a coup, yes, but that was the movements that were taking place in Africa. But when the time to form a democracy came, he was one of the first to step ahead and say, you know what, we need to do this. We need a democracy in Ghana. And then, of course, being lucky, that worked out, and you can see the result of what the work he put in when you look at Ghana and the governance in Ghana. That the democracy is working, is one of the few democracies that are working in Africa. That was Ghana. You have also another group like, when I talk about people who I feel like were naive but intended to do great work, people like Thomas Sankara of not Sierra Leone, of, now I'm drawing blank here. Thomas Sankara, who was incredible as a soldier, who was incredible as a leader, who used his hands to change the way his people were, the upright people of his community. But yet, when it came time to lead the future, to lead the people around him, Thomas Sankara was not able to see that the closest people in his entourage were the ones who were going to end his life and change the course of his community, change the course of where he was trying to head, where he was trying to lead his nation. And as a result, we lost a hero, we lost a giant, and we were not able to see the fruits of his work. This is the same thing in many other African communities when you look at the work that was being done, where really we had visionary leaders, but at the end of the day, those visionary leaders, whether it was through naivete or it was because they just couldn't read the temperature in the room, we lost them too soon. I'm challenging you as a leader in Africa. Figure out a way, whether I think there is a way to see where the future is leading. There's a way to read the room and know who is with you. But I'm also challenging us as a people to look at some of our leaders and give them a break every once in a while. Sometimes we look at leaders, we say they're dictators. We look at the leaders, we think of all of these other things that they're doing that might not be right at the moment. But we miss the big picture. We miss the big picture where they look at the entirety of what they're given and they decide, you know what, I'm going to be tough this time, but I'm going to do it because I know our communities, our country, this nation that I'm leading is not ready for the freedom that we all seek. But as a result of this toughness, the future is better. The future is great as a result of what we're doing right now. We're going to enjoy a better future. We're going to enjoy a future that is more fruitful. But so I'm using that as a challenge tonight because I feel like Jay Roaring was able to read the room, was able to see what was coming and stepped ahead of it. And then of course looking at how he came in power as a man of the people. Yes, so there might have been some moments where those challenges, obviously some people thought of him as a dictator, but overall when you look back, he has been a blessing not just to his people in Ghana, but to the continent. So my challenge to you, my challenge to us all, is to figure out a way, yes, to see the future, but also to give a break in the moment when our leaders are leading us towards the future that we might not see clearly. This is not the case for all leaders, obviously. There are some leaders who are just terrible, and we need to obviously let them know as well. That is what we have for you tonight. I want to thank everybody who joined us, and we look forward, obviously, for another program tomorrow. We're here every evening from 6 to 7 p.m., and we look forward to seeing you once again. Have a good night.